Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something a little different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Usually, we take a stack of articles, maybe in a book release, and we try to make sense of the headlines. But today, we are walking right into the eye of the storm.
And by storm, I'm guessing you aren't referring to the weather forecast.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, the vibe, the atmosphere. I was walking down the street the other day, just looking at the headlines on my phone, watching the way people were driving so aggressive, cutting each other off.
Right.
And then noticing the tension in the coffee shop line where two people were arguing over something completely trivial. And I just got this sudden visceral feeling in the pit of my stomach. It wasn't just stress.
What was it?
It was déjà vu.
That strange, haunting sensation that we've been here before.
Exactly. And I don't just mean I've had this specific argument before. I mean, it feels like the collective we, like humanity itself, has been here before. We look around at the 2020s, the extreme polarization, the economic anxiety where everyone is just holding their breath, the rise of these very loud strongman figures all over the globe, the rampant scapegoating of the other.
Yeah, the pattern is undeniable.
It feels eerily like history's projector is flickering again. It's like someone went into the dusty archives, pulled out the newsreels from the 1920s and 30s, and just hit play on the, remastered in 4K version.
It is a profound observation, and I think that specific feeling, that bone-deep recognition, is exactly what we need to unpack today.
Right.
Because you are not alone in feeling it. Advanced practitioners of this work, those who really study the architecture of time and consciousness, call this out explicitly.
They do.
Oh, yeah. The consensus among those who really look at the patterns is that what we're experiencing right now isn't just a random series of hard times. It's a structural repetition.
A structural repetition, right?
Yeah.
And that's the scary part, isn't it?
Ow.
It feels inevitable. We all know that famous quote by Cynthia. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. We cling to that quote like a life raft. We think, well, okay, we have textbooks. We have the History Channel. We have documentaries. We remember what happened in the 30s, so we're safe.
And that is the trap.
That's the trap.
That assumption that intellectual memory is enough to save us is actually one of the most dangerous things we can believe right now.
Wait, hold on. Why? I mean, if I know where the pothole is because I hit it 10 years ago, or because I read a map that says pothole ahead,
Yeah.
shouldn't I be able to drive around it?
You would think so. You really would. But let's look at the data, so to speak.
Okay.
We have more information about history than any generation in human existence.
Mm-hmm.
We have the internet in our pockets. We have archives accessible in seconds.
For sure.
We know exactly how World War I started. We know exactly the mechanics of the financial crash of 1929. We can diagram it, and yet look at the board.
We're setting up the chess pieces in almost the exact same configuration.
Exactly.
So memory isn't the issue. We have the memory.
No, memory is not the issue. The issue is much deeper. Experienced dream masters, and we can view history as a kind of collective dream, they make a really crucial distinction here.
Okay, what's that?
They separate remembering, which is intellectual and analytical, from awakening, which is visceral. It's somatic. You can memorize the dates of every single battle. You can know the names of every general, but you can still find yourself standing in the middle of the street screaming at your neighbor, caught up in the exact same emotional wave that swept people away 100 years ago.
So we're talking about an emotional or an energetic repetition, not just a logistical one.
That's it.
It's not about the facts, it's about the feeling.
Precisely. It is about the energy animating the facts. In this field, we use a term that I think is essential for navigating right now.
And that is?
Energetic season.
An energetic season. I highlighted that in my notes. It's a beautiful phrase, but let's ground it a little. What does that actually mean in practice?
Okay. Think of it like agriculture or meteorology. Okay. You don't get angry at the snow in January. You don't stand on your porch and scream, "Why is it cold?"
Yeah.
You understand that the atmospheric conditions, the tilt of the earth, the pressure systems, it makes snow, inevitable. It is the season.
It's just what happens, right?
The argument here is that human consciousness operates on similar long-wave cycles. There are seasons of expansion where we feel connected, optimistic, and borders seem to dissolve. And then there are seasons of contraction.
Winter.
Yes, a winter of consciousness. And when that season rolls around, themes of control, fear, fragmentation, and tribalism rise to the surface naturally. It's just atmospheric pressure. The stakes feel higher today because the machinery of our world is faster now. I mean, we have nukes, we have algorithmic social media that just accelerates rage, but the impulse driving the chaos is ancient. It is the winter returning.
Okay, so if this is a season, that implies it's natural, but it also feels terrifying. The central tension, the question that's haunting everyone I talk to is, will we wake up this time? Or are we just going to play the script out to the bitter end again?
Yeah.
Because winter is one thing, but if the winter kills you, that's a problem.
That is the central question of this entire deep dive. Are we on a broken record, doomed to play the same sad song forever?
Or are we on a spiral where we come back to the same view, but maybe from a higher vantage point?
Exactly.
I want to pause on that visual, the broken record versus the spiral. Because before we get too abstract with global politics and history, I want to bring this down to the personal level.
Please.
Because when I was preparing for this, I didn't just think about the news. I thought about my own life.
How so? Where does this show up for you?
Well, do you have that thing where you swear you're done with a certain type of dynamic? Maybe it's a type of partner you date, the one who needs fixing, or a way you handle stress at work where you just shut down completely.
Sure, absolutely.
And you say, okay, lesson learned, never doing that again.
And then what, 6 months later?
6 months later, the scenery has changed. The people have changed. Maybe I'm in a new city or a new job, but I'm having the exact same emotional reaction.
Wow.
I'm having the same argument, just with a different face.
Yeah.
It's like the universe put a new skin on an old test.
That is a perfect example of what we call the fractal nature of reality.
Okay, fractal is one of those words people throw around a lot in smart conversations. Can we maybe define it for the listener who doesn't have a degree in geometry?
Sure. A fractal is basically a pattern that repeats itself at different scales. So if you look at a fern, the little leaf looks exactly like the big branch, which looks exactly like the whole plant. The macro reflects the micro. The structure of the atom mirrors the solar system.
Okay, so how does that apply to my bad relationships and, the threat of World War III?
The argument is that the world is repeating its patterns because we are repeating our patterns. The nation's posturing and fighting, that's just the collective version of you fighting with your spouse or sabotaging your diet. We are the pixels making up the picture. If the pixels are red, the image will be red.
That is both empowering and really terrifying. It's empowering because it means I'm part of the equation. I'm not just a victim of history. It's terrifying because, well, I'm not sure I'm doing a great job at solving my own patterns, let alone the world's.
And that honesty is the first step. It really is. Because when we look at this landscape of repetition, we usually see people fall into one of two camps to deal with that fear.
Right.
And as guides through this territory, we have to warn people that both can be traps.
Okay, let's map these out so we don't fall into them. What's the first camp?
The first is the doomed to repeat view. This is the cynical, closed loop perspective.
Well, I know this one well. This is my 300 AM doom scrolling view.
Exactly. It says history is just a mechanism of boom and bust. Empires rise, empires collapse. Humans are fundamentally flawed, maybe even parasitic. Yeah. We don't learn, we just circle the drain until the clock runs out. It assumes the loop is closed and unbreakable.
It's hard not to feel that way sometimes. It feels very realistic. But surely the alternative is better. What's the second view?
The second view is the evolutionary spiral. This perspective suggests that, yes, the archetypes return. We see the return of the tension between order and chaos, or freedom and control. But each time they return, they offer a new invitation.
Like a video game level. Yeah. You beat level 1, and level 2 looks similar, but it's harder, and you have better weapons.
In a way, yeah. It's the universe saying, hey, you didn't quite master the lesson on power versus responsibility last time. Here it is again. Would you like to try a different response?
So in the spiral view, the repetition isn't a punishment. It's a second chance.
Correct. It frames the repetition as benevolent, or at the very least, educational.
Okay, so obviously, we should be rooting for the spiral view. Why did you say it could be a trap? I get why doomed is bad, but spiral sounds great.
This is where the nuance comes in. And this is what experienced practitioners know that beginners often miss. The doomed view is a trap because it excuses apathy. If we're doomed, why bother trying? I can just check out, watch TV, and let the world burn.
Right. Nihilism.
But the evolutionary spiral view can be a trap because it excuses denial.
Denial. How?
It allows for a kind of spiritual bypassing. You see people saying, oh, don't worry about the suffering, don't worry about the injustice. It's all just part of the evolution. It's all meant to be. We're spiraling up.
I see. It's all good. The universe has a plan while the house is literally on fire and people are screaming.
Exactly. It becomes a way to disengage from the pain of the moment. The lucid reality, the middle path, is recognizing that the potential for the spiral exists, but it is not guaranteed.
So it's not automatic.
Not at all. Evolution isn't an escalator we just stand on while it carries us up. It's a ladder we have to climb.
That distinction is huge. It's not a passive ride. We have to do the climbing.
We do.
Okay, to really help us understand how we climb, how we actually intervene in these cycles rather than just watching them happen, I want to get into a specific case study. We have these incredible archives from the Phillip narrative.
Right. For those new to this, Phillip is a character in the canon we study who serves as a sort of a proxy for the dreamer, for us. He's learning to navigate reality, often stumbling, often failing, but he's learning.
And there's this specific recurring nightmare he has. It's about a character named Cynthia.
Mm-hmm.
And the scenario is horrifyingly simple. She is falling off a cruise ship.
It is such a visceral image. And for Phillip, this isn't just a bad dream he shakes off in the morning. It feels like a premonition. He feels it in his gut. He feels the wind, the spray, the terror.
And his reaction is, what?
It's panic, pure panic. He's running around the dreamscape, trying to block doors, tackling people, trying to brute force the timeline to stop her from falling.
So he's operating from total fear.
He is convinced that the future is a solid block of concrete hurtling toward him. He thinks the event, the fall, is fixed in time and space. But then we have the mentor figure, the metaphysician, who appears in the narrative. And he introduces a concept that I think is the key to this whole deep dive.
You're talking about 9D reality.
Yes.
Now, I'll be honest. When I first encountered 9D reality in the material, my eyes kind of glazed over a bit. It sounds like sci-fi jargon or some high-level physics.
Sure.
Can we break this down? What does a 9-dimensional reality actually imply for us down here in regular old 3D?
It's a valid question. Let's think of it like this. Most of us live in a linear perception of time.
Right. Past, present, future.
Yes.
A straight line.
A train track. You can only go forward, and you can't see what's around the bend, but you assume the track is late.
Okay. That's how life feels. Tuesday follows Monday.
But in the model of reality that advanced dreamers work with, time isn't a line. It's more like a radio spectrum. All the songs are playing at once.
So there's a timeline where Cynthia falls, and a timeline where she catches the railing.
And a timeline where she never even got on the boat.
So they all exist as potentials.
Exactly. They are all broadcasting simultaneously. The question is, which station is your consciousness tuned to?
Okay, that changes the game. Because if I'm on a train track, I'm a victim of where the track goes. But if I'm a radio, I can touch the dial.
Precisely. The metaphysician explains that what determines the timeline Phillip experiences isn't random chance. It is his state of being.
His state of being.
The panic, the fear, the frantic running around, that energetic state actually tunes him to the frequency where the disaster happens. His fear is the magnet for the event he fears.
There's that great detail in the story about the prediction charm.
Mm-hmm.
Phillip has this little charm that changes color when he dreams of the fall. When it turns red, he freaks out. He thinks, that's it. It's confirmed.
And isn't that exactly what we do with the news?
Oh, 100%.
We see a poll number drop or the stock market dip, the charm turns red, and we spiral. We think the catastrophe is guaranteed. It's over.
Yeah, we're doomed.
But the metaphysician points out a subtle nuance that changes everything. The color change didn't mean the event was fate. It meant the event was highly probable given the current energetic weather.
It's the difference between a forecast and a sentence.
Yes, perfect. If the weatherman says 80% chance of rain, you don't say, I am destined to be wet. You take an umbrella.
Or you stay inside.
You change your relationship to the event. Phillip's mistake was thinking the charm was a judge, passing a sentence on his reality, when really it was just a barometer reading the pressure.
So the future is fluid. It actually reacts to us.
It reacts to our observation and our resonance. This is consistent with what we know from quantum mechanics, really, but applied to psychology. The panic response often precipitates the exact disaster we are trying to avoid.
Because panic feeds the chaos timeline.
You are pouring energy into the very thing you are trying to stop.
Okay, so let's zoom out.
Right.
We got Phillip on the ship, terrified of the fall, and we've got us in the 2020s, terrified of the world falling apart. Yeah. We are seeing the signs of the storm. The charm is turning red. Yeah. How do we tune the radio to a different station? This brings us to a philosopher who doesn't usually get invited to the self-help section. Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yes, the heavy hitter.
Usually when people hear Nietzsche, they think of nihilism. God is dead. Black turtlenecks, smoking cigarettes in a cafe looking depressed.
That's the stereotype.
But the material we are looking at today focuses on a specific concept of his called eternal recurrence.
It is one of the most powerful psychological tools ever created. It isn't just philosophy, it's a practice. It's almost a spiritual test.
Okay, walk us through it.
Nietzsche proposed a thought experiment, he said. Imagine a demon came to you tonight, in your loneliest loneliness. So no distractions, no phone, just you and the dark.
Wow, okay.
And this demon said, this life, as you are living it right now and have lived it in the past, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more.
Meaning everything. Every single pain, every joy, every boring Tuesday, every heartbreak, every mistake, everything in the exact same order.
Everything. Every sigh, every moment of shame, every time you lost your temper, every time you were kind. The demon says the hourglass of existence is turned over again and again, and you, with it, speck of dust.
Wow, speck of dust.
Yeah.
Thanks, Friedrich. He really knew how to make you feel small.
He did. But the question he asks next is the kicker.
Which is?
He asks, would you throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon? Or have you once experienced a tremendous moment where you would answer him, you are a god, and never have I heard anything more divine?
That's heavy. Because I think for a lot of people, if they're honest, the answer is, please, God, no, do not make me do this again.
And that no is the signal.
The signal for what?
It is the signal that we are living in a way that generates regret or resentment or unconsciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Nietzsche wasn't necessarily saying the universe literally loops, though interestingly, some modern physics theories about the Big Bounce might agree with him. He was saying, live your life as if it will repeat forever, because that standard forces you to wake up.
And if we apply this to the collective, to this season of history we're in, it gets really interesting.
It does.
Because it suggests that humanity isn't just repeating events like wars or recessions for no reason. We are repeating them because we haven't been able to affirm them. We haven't learned the lesson, so the class is repeating.
Or rather, we haven't resolved the split that caused them in the first place.
Let's split.
We are repeating our shadow.
Shadow is a Jungian term, right?
Yes. Carl Jung. The shadow is the part of the self that we reject, ignore, or suppress. The things we don't want to admit are part of us. Our greed, our rage, our pettiness.
And the argument is that entire cultures have shadows too.
Absolutely. Humanity isn't just a collection of people, it's a psyche. So the racism, the inequality, the greed, the violence, these aren't just bad things that happen to us from the outside.
They're part of us.
They are the projected shadow of the collective.
Yeah.
We push them down. We say, that's not us, that's them, that's the enemy over there. We are the good guys.
And because we fracture ourselves, because we split reality into good us and bad them, the pressure just builds up.
And eventually, that shadow projects itself outward onto the screen of history. It manifests as the crisis. It manifests as the tyrant. It manifests as the war.
So the war, the political strife, that's the shadow coming home to roost.
It's the shadow demanding to be seen. And here is the trap. The loop persists until the projected shadow is brought back into awareness, until we can look at the chaos and say, I see the part of me that is contributing to this.
That is incredibly hard to do. It's so much easier to point fingers. It's much easier to say the world is messy because those people voted for the wrong guy, or it's because of that country over there.
It is the hardest work there is. But we know from practice, from looking at how deep healing actually happens, that external chaos is almost always a projection of internal fragmentation.
So if the world looks like it's falling apart,
it's because our internal models of reality are falling apart.
This brings us to a technical term that experienced guides use, the assemblage point. I want to unpack that because it sounds like the solution here, or at least the mechanic of the solution.
The assemblage point is a term often used in shamanic traditions, particularly in the Castaneda books. But we can use it very practically here without getting too mystical. It just describes the specific position of your perception.
Right.
Think of it like the focal point of a camera lens.
Okay, so it's where I'm standing to look at the view.
Yes. If your lens is zoomed in on threat, you will see a world of danger. Every shadow looks like a monster. If your lens is zoomed in on lack, you will see a world of poverty no matter how much money you have.
And most of humanity has their assemblage point fixated where?
On victimhood or conflict. They perceive reality through a lens that says, I am small, the world is dangerous, and I must fight to survive.
So when the assemblage point is locked there, the season of war is inevitable because that's all we can see. We interpret every single signal as an act of war.
Correct. So eternal recurrence is the test. If I look at my life and say, I can't bear to live this again, it's a signal that my assemblage point is in a bad spot. I am assembling a world I hate.
So the goal isn't to run around the deck of the cruise ship trying to stop the woman from falling, which is just rearranging the furniture on the sinking ship.
Right.
The goal is to shift the assemblage point.
Exactly. To choose a different way of relating to the cycle. If you shift your perception, even by 1 degree, from fear to curiosity or from judgment to compassion, you are literally assembling a different world.
You're tuning into that different frequency in the 9D reality.
You are catching the railing instead of falling.
And if enough individuals shift their assemblage point,
then the collective reality begins to shift. That is how the season changes. Not by fighting the winter with flamethrowers, but by realizing you have the internal capacity to generate warmth.
I want to get practical here. Because this philosophy is beautiful, and I think we all feel the truth of it. But I've got listeners wondering, okay, but I'm still doom scrolling. I'm still fighting with my uncle about politics at Thanksgiving. I'm still stressed about my rent.
Of course.
How do we apply this shifting the assemblage point in everyday life?
Let's look at the micro-level manifestations, the everyday stakes. We need to stop trying to fix the whole world and start fixing our Tuesday.
Okay, fixing Tuesday. I like.
We mentioned earlier those loops. Why do I always burn out? Or why do I get addicted to the same kind of outrage?
Yeah. It's like every 4 years I enter my season of political rage. It's predictable. I lose sleep. I get snappy. I feel helpless.
So let's use a tool that masters of this work suggest. It's called cycle tagging.
Cycle tagging. How does it work?
The first step in waking up inside a dream is realizing you are dreaming.
Right.
The moment you say, wait, I'm dreaming, the monster chasing you loses its power. The first step in breaking a life cycle is naming the cycle.
So instead of being in the feeling,
you observe it. Instead of saying, I am angry and the world is terrible, you step back and say, I am currently in my season of outrage. Or, I am entering my winter of control.
I like that. It creates a little bit of space. It detaches me from it.
It creates distance. It separates you, the observer, from the pattern, the experience. When you label it as a season, you stop judging it as a personal failure.
Right.
You don't scream at the sky for being winter. You just say, okay, it's winter. I need to put on a coat.
So if I notice I'm in a season of avoidance, like I'm procrastinating on everything, eating junk food, watching 6 hours of TV, I don't beat myself up. I just tag it. Okay, avoidance season is here.
Yes. And once you tag it, you have lucidity. You are no longer drowning in the river. You are standing on the bank watching the river flow. And from the bank, you can make a choice.
Which leads us to the second tool, the eternal recurrence test. How do we use Nietzsche's demon in the grocery store or the voting booth?
We take the demon and we put him in our pocket. Throughout the day, when you catch yourself in a reaction, let's say you're about to send a snarky, passive-aggressive tweet because you saw something that annoyed you.
Guilty.
Or you're about to shut down emotionally in a conversation with your partner because they critiqued you. You pause, just for a second, and you ask, if this is how I speak, react, or vote every time this cycle returns, for all of eternity, would I be willing to live that reaction again?
Oof, that stops you in your tracks.
It does.
Because usually the answer is no. I don't want to be the person who sent that nasty text for 1 billion years.
Exactly. It reveals the inauthenticity immediately. It shows you where you are acting out of shadow. And here's the pivot. If the answer is no, you ask, what is the 1 degree softer, more honest response I could affirm?
I love the 1 degree part because sometimes we think we need to be saints. We think, oh, I have to love my enemy. And that feels impossible, so we do nothing.
Right. We aren't trying to become Buddha overnight. We aren't trying to fix the whole timeline. We are trying to shift the pixel.
Just 1 pixel.
Maybe the affirmed response isn't, I love you and I forgive you. Maybe it's just, I'm not going to add more poison to the well today. Maybe it's just silence instead of attack. Maybe it's listening for 5 seconds instead of 0.
That feels doable. It's about integrity. Can I stand behind this action forever?
If you can do that, if you can choose a reaction that you would be willing to repeat eternally, you have shifted your assemblage point. You have stepped out of the doomed loop and onto the evolutionary spiral.
You've integrated the shadow in that tiny moment.
You have.
And the theory is that if millions of people do that,
then the energetic season of the world begins to change. The storm breaks, not because we fought the wind, but because we stopped feeding the low-pressure system with our own fear and hatred. We changed the climate by changing the temperature of our own hearts.
I want to take a moment to just let that land. Because we started this episode talking about the anxiety of the 1930s returning.
Yeah.
And that is a heavy, heavy thing to carry. It feels like this massive wave that's going to crush us.
It is. And I want to offer a word of integration and grounding here. It is natural to feel anxiety when you see these patterns. It is scary. But the point of this deep dive is not to ask you to carry the entire future on your shoulders. You are not Atlas.
We're just one pixel in the image.
Exactly. Your consciousness is one pixel, but the resolution of the image depends on the clarity of the pixels. Just as Philip in the story didn't master the dream world in one night, he stumbled, he fell, he got scared. Cultures don't integrate their shadow in one generation. It is slow work.
It's a practice.
It is a practice. The goal for this turn of the cycle isn't utopia. We aren't going to suddenly have world peace tomorrow.
Right.
The goal is just a slightly more lucid, slightly more compassionate stance than last time. Did we do better than the 1930s? Even by 1%? If yes, that is victory.
Yeah, it is deeply comforting. It takes the pressure off saving the world and puts the focus on waking up yourself.
Let's invite the listeners to take a brief breath right now, just a moment of pause. Wherever you are driving, walking, cooking, feel the season you are in.
Maybe it's a chaotic season. Maybe it's a tired season. Don't try to solve it. Just feel it. You are the dreamer, dreaming this season.
And as we come out of that breath, I want to throw this back to you, listening right now. We call this the listener engagement part, but really, it's about connecting our stories. Have you ever had that moment, that realization of, oh, this has happened before?
Maybe in a relationship, maybe in a job, maybe just in your own headspace. What changed once you saw the pattern? Did you tag it? Did you spiral up, or did you go around the loop again?
We'd love for you to journal about that.
Yeah.
Identify one repeating life pattern, just one, and ask yourself, what would a slightly more lucid response look like? Not a perfect response, just a slightly more awake one.
And if you are willing, share those reflections, because when we share our pixel shifts, we help stabilize the picture for everyone else.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to go deeper into the source material, the Phillip Aisling canon, the star charts, the bookshelves, check out philipaisling.com. There are resources there to help map out these cycles.
And looking ahead, we're going to be moving from cycles to something even more intense next time.
Yes. The next phase of the Becoming Lucid work is titled The Great Unraveling, when old stories stop working.
Oh, I can't wait for that. That sounds like exactly what we're going through.
It is the moment the script breaks, and that is where the real magic happens.
So until then, notice the patterns, honor the season you're in.
And remember, you are not just inside the cycle, you are the dreamer learning how to wake up within it.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.